Every great transformation begins with a question, and the idea that would change the course of human history perhaps began with the simplest question of all. Why? Before the concept of freedom was born, there were empires, kings, slaves, and masters. Fate was written at birth, but in the silent space between the whim of a master and the fate of a slave, something new was beginning to sprout. The first spark of an idea, yet unnamed. This was the most precious seed ever to grow in the mind of humankind. This is the biography of the idea of freedom. The concept of freedom did not emerge in a magnificent palace. The first whispers of the idea were heard in ancient squares, in the city of marble and logic, in the cradle of philosophy, within a civilization that questioned itself. Its first seeds were sown in the agoras of Athens. The idea of the citizen was a radical one, symbolizing the transition from being the property of a monarch to being an active member of a political community. In Rome, this idea was clad in the armor of law. Res publica, the public affair. The rights that every citizen possessed before the law were the first wall erected against tyranny. But this wall ignored the screams of slaves and women. Freedom was not yet a sun that shone for all. It was a torch held in the hands of a select few. This torch was passed from hand to hand over the centuries. But in 1215, on a muddy field in England, the nobles brought a king to his knees. Magna Carta, a document that proclaimed no king was above the law. It was the first official declaration that freedom was not a gift, but a right. The Enlightenment had arrived. The printing press freed ideas from their chains. Thinkers like Locke and Rousseau placed human reason and the natural rights of the individual at the center of history. These words would cross oceans to lay the foundations of a new world. In the late 18th century, these theories were put into practice. The American Declaration of Independence and the French Revolution's principle of liberty, equality, fraternity challenged the monarchical and aristocratic orders. The modern concept of freedom was forged in the chaotic environment of these two great revolutions. By the 21st century, the idea had taken on a more complex identity than ever before. Its enemies are no longer tangible, they are invisible. The chains are no longer made of iron, but of data. The meaning of freedom is more complex than ever. The line between free will and manipulation is blurred. The battlefield has changed. For centuries, the greatest enemies of freedom have been kings and empires. But now we understand that the most persistent and insidious threat has always been within humanity itself. The pursuit of security, comfort, and indifference. A labyrinth of consumption filled with the illusion of freedom of choice. Hundreds of channels, thousands of brands. But are we truly free in this labyrinth? Or have we merely changed the material of our chains? The story is not yet over. It will never be over. Because as long as humanity exists, freedom will continue to evolve. This story is being written by ordinary people like you and me. With every no we utter, with every question we ask, we add a new chapter to that story. Freedom is not a destination to be reached, but a journey that will never end. Freedom is not destroyed in the noise, but in the silence. It vanishes when it is forgotten, when it is left unquestioned, when it is traded for a life that seems ordinary and guaranteed. Freedom is not a word that lives in constitutions. It is not a memory sleeping in books. Its only home, its only sanctuary, is a question in mind. The future of freedom, as always, depends on one thing. That simple question and your decision.